Peace be with you in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. May the grace of God rest upon your life in this very moment. If you are listening to this prayer right now, I want you to understand something clearly. This is not a coincidence. God has allowed you to arrive here because He sees what you are carrying and He knows what you have been facing. Some of you feel stuck, not lazy, not careless, just unable to move forward, no matter how much effort you make. You pray, you try, you restart, but it feels like something unseen keeps holding you in the same place. Doors do not open. Progress feels delayed. Peace feels interrupted. Hear this with your heart open. You are not broken and you are not failing. Feeling stuck does not mean God has abandoned you. Sometimes it means there is an unseen burden, a hidden weight, or a spiritual resistance that needs to be lifted, not fought in your own strength. Many battles are not visible. They do not come with noise or chaos. They come as exhaustion, confusion, heaviness, and delay, and many people suffer silently because they do not know how to explain what they feel. But today, God invites you into His presence, not to accuse you, but to cover you, not to pressure you, but to deliver you. Through Psalm 91 and Psalm 17, we will pray for protection, clarity, and release from every hidden chain. Do not rush this prayer. Do not skip this moment. Stay until the end. Because what begins with understanding ends with deliverance. Remain here. God is about to work. Welcome to Psalm 91 Warfare. This is not just a channel. This is a community of faith, prayer, and spiritual intercession. Right now, you are not praying alone. You are joining a growing family of more than 32,000 intercessors from around the world. Men and women who believe in the power of prayer and stand together in the name of Jesus Christ. This channel was created for those who feel spiritually tired, overwhelmed, or under pressure from battles they cannot fully explain. It is a place for those who understand that some struggles cannot be solved with human strength, but only through the presence and power of God. Here, we pray with intention. Here, we stand in agreement. Here, no one fights alone. Every prayer released on this channel is covered by Scripture. Every declaration is spoken with faith. And every moment shared here is an act of intercession, believing that God still delivers, still protects, and still breaks chains. When you listen to these prayers, you are connecting your faith with thousands of others who are praying alongside you. We believe that when one voice cries out, many voices agree, and heaven responds. If you believe that God fights your battles, then you already belong here. Stay connected, stay in prayer, stay in faith, because in this community, we stand together until victory comes. Peace be with you in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. May the grace of God rest upon your life in this very moment. As we begin, I want you to know that you are welcome here exactly as you are. You do not need to pretend. You do not need to be strong right now. You only need to remain present. If you feel stuck, this moment is for you. Not stuck because you lack effort, intelligence, or faith, but stuck in a way that is difficult to explain. You try to move forward, yet something seems to resist every step. Progress feels slow. Doors feel closed. Motivation rises and falls, but nothing truly changes. Many people carry this feeling quietly. They continue working, caring, believing, and praying, yet deep inside they sense a weight they cannot name. It is not always sadness. It is not always fear. Sometimes it is simply the feeling that life is heavier than it should be. Hear this carefully. Feeling stuck does not mean you are failing. It does not mean you are being punished. It does not mean God has turned away from you. Often it means there is something beneath the surface that needs to be addressed gently, not fought aggressively. Some battles do not show themselves openly. They do not arrive as crises or dramatic events. They come as delay, confusion, emotional exhaustion, and a constant sense of resistance. You feel like you are always starting again from the same place. That can be discouraging, especially when you are doing your best. Many people blame themselves during these seasons. They question their worth. They question their faith. They question whether they missed something or did something wrong. But God does not look at you with accusation. He looks at you with understanding. God sees what you carry even when you cannot explain it. He sees the weight behind the smile. He sees the fatigue behind the effort. He sees the questions you do not say out loud, and He does not shame you for feeling overwhelmed. This is important to understand before we go any further. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not invisible to God. Feeling stuck is not a label. It is a signal that something unseen may be influencing your peace, clarity, or direction. There are hidden pressures that do not bind the body, but bind momentum. Pressures that do not stop you completely, but slow you down enough to make life feel like constant effort. These pressures can come from unresolved pain, prolonged stress, emotional wounds, or spiritual resistance that quietly drains strength over time. This prayer is not meant to create fear in you. It is meant to bring understanding and relief. Because liberation does not begin with panic. It begins with awareness and trust. God does not expose what He does not intend to heal. He does not reveal what He does not plan to remove. If you feel drawn to this prayer, it is because God is inviting you into rest, clarity, and deliverance, not condemnation. As we move forward, do not rush this moment. Do not treat this prayer as background noise. Give yourself permission to slow down. Let your thoughts settle. Let your breathing calm. You do not need to force anything to happen. Psalm 91 and Psalm 17 were not written for people who had easy lives. They were written by those who knew what it meant to be surrounded, pressured, misunderstood, and in need of divine protection and clarity. These psalms are not about fear. They are about refuge. They are not about accusation. They are about God's careful attention to the inner life. Psalm 91 speaks of safety while God works. It reminds us that even when we do not see immediate change, we are covered. Psalm 17 speaks of God examining the heart, exposing hidden traps, and protecting the soul from unseen harm. Together, they form a foundation of trust and protection. This prayer will move gently. It will not rush you. It will not overwhelm your spirit. We will allow the Word of God to do its work step by step, layer by layer. Some things break instantly. Others loosen gradually. Both are part of God's process. As you listen, you may recognize thoughts or feelings you have not been able to name before. That is not a reason to be afraid. It is a sign that God is bringing clarity, and clarity always comes before freedom. Stay with me. Do not skip ahead. Do not leave early. The beginning brings understanding, but the end is where release begins. You do not need to understand everything right now. You only need to stay open and present. God is not asking you to fix yourself. He's asking you to trust Him with what you cannot fix on your own, and that is where peace begins. Before we continue, take a moment to engage your faith and become part of this moment. Comment one word that represents what you are believing God for. You may write freedom, peace, clarity, deliverance, or simply Amen. Stay here. We are just beginning. As we continue, allow yourself to remain calm and attentive. There is no need to rush what God is doing in this moment. Liberation is not always loud. Very often it begins quietly, with understanding replacing confusion and peace replacing inattention. When people feel stuck for a long time, they often assume the problem is external. They look for answers in circumstances, people, or opportunities. While those things matter, they are not always the root of the struggle. Sometimes the resistance is not outside of you, but around you, subtle and unseen. Unseen resistance does not announce itself clearly. It does not say, "I am here to stop you," Instead, it whispers discouragement. It delays progress just enough to make you doubt yourself. It drains energy slowly, making simple things feel heavy. Over time, this creates frustration and emotional fatigue. Many people adapt to this without realizing it. They lower expectations. They stop hoping deeply. They learn to survive instead of expecting change. This is not because they lack faith, but because they are tired of disappointment. God understands this exhaustion more than you know. Hidden chains are not always dramatic. They can appear as repeated delays, unfinished cycles, or a constant sense of limitation. You feel capable, yet constrained, ready, yet restrained, willing, yet blocked. This contradiction is deeply frustrating and emotionally draining. God does not ignore these patterns. He sees them clearly. He understands that long-term resistance can slowly reshape how a person sees themselves and their future. That is why this prayer is not rushed. God restores gently but thoroughly. It is important to understand that awareness is not accusation. Recognizing unseen resistance does not mean you have failed spiritually. It means God is bringing clarity so that healing and release can begin. Light does not come to shame, it comes to guide. Many people carry emotional and spiritual weight from seasons that never fully resolved, disappointments that were never processed, losses that were never mourned, prayers that felt unanswered. Over time, these unresolved moments can quietly influence present decisions and expectations. God does not force healing, He invites it. He does not overwhelm the heart, He leads it patiently. That is why staying present during this prayer matters. Your willingness to remain here is already an act of faith. As we move deeper, you may begin to sense where resistance has been affecting you. It may show up as fear of trying again, as hesitation when opportunity appears, as tension when hope starts to rise. These are not signs of weakness, they are signs that something is ready to be released. Psalm 17 speaks of God examining the heart, not to condemn it, but to protect it. God looks beneath the surface. He sees motives, wounds, and hidden pressures. He knows what has been quietly shaping your inner life. God's examination is always connected to His protection. He reveals in order to guard. He uncovers in order to free. Nothing He shows you is meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to restore alignment and peace. Psalm 91 reminds us that protection is active even while God works beneath the surface. You are not exposed during this process. You are not vulnerable. You are covered while God loosens what has been holding you back. You may not feel a sudden emotional shift, and that is okay. Freedom does not always arrive as a dramatic moment. Often, it arrives as relief, clarity, and the quiet return of hope. Trust what is unfolding, even if it feels subtle. As we continue, allow yourself to release the need to analyze everything. You do not need to identify every cause or name every chain. God already knows what needs to be addressed. Your role is not to diagnose yourself. Your role is to trust. If you feel tired, stay. If your mind wants to wander, gently return. If emotions rise, allow them without judgment. God is not in a hurry. He works at the pace that brings lasting freedom. This prayer is creating space. Space for clarity, space for peace, space for movement where there was stagnation, space for hope where there was quiet resignation. God is not disappointed in you for feeling stuck. He is present with you in it. And presence is the beginning of deliverance. As we move forward, remember that release is a process. Some chains break immediately, others loosen gradually. Both are evidence of God's work. Do not measure progress by intensity, measure it by peace. Stay here, stay open, let God continue what He has begun. Before we continue into the next part of this prayer, take a moment to connect with this community of faith. Write your prayer request in the comments. You are not alone. You can write one sentence or many. God sees it, and this community of intercessors stands with you. Remain here. The work is continuing. As we continue, something important must be established in your spirit. Feeling stuck does not mean you are powerless. It does not mean you are trapped without help. It means that the moment has come for God to intervene in ways you could not accomplish on your own. There are seasons when effort is not enough. You can try harder, plan better, and pray longer, yet still feel restrained. These are the moments when God does not ask you to push more. He asks you to trust more. Divine intervention begins where human strength reaches its limit. God does not wait for you to become perfect before He acts. He waits for you to become willing to release control, willing to stop blaming yourself, willing to let Him take over what you have been carrying alone. Right now, we are shifting from awareness into authority. Authority does not come from volume or intensity. It comes from alignment with God's truth. When you align with what God says about you, resistance loses its power. You are not defined by delay. You are not defined by frustration. You are not defined by what has not worked yet. God defines you by His purpose, not by your current position. Hidden chains often survive because people try to fight them with effort instead of surrender. God's way of breaking unseen limitations is not through exhaustion, but through trust and authority. Authority rooted in His word, not in personal strength. Psalm 91 reminds us that while God fights, we are covered. That means you are not exposed during the process of deliverance. Nothing is attacking you without God's awareness. Nothing is touching you without His permission. Psalm 17 reminds us that God examines what is hidden, not to accuse, but to protect. He sees traps before they close. He sees pressure before it overwhelms. He sees resistance before it destroys hope. This is where spiritual authority begins to operate. Authority does not mean shouting at the problem. It means standing in agreement with God's truth and allowing Him to act. Right now, God is confronting what has been quietly confronting you. You may not see it, you may not feel it dramatically, but movement is happening. What has been restricting progress is being addressed at the root. What has been draining strength is being interrupted. What has been influencing your inner life without permission is losing its hold. This is not something you need to force, it is something you allow. Deliverance does not always look like a sudden emotional release. Sometimes it looks like clarity returning. Sometimes it looks like peace settling. Sometimes it looks like courage rising again where fear once lived. God works with precision, not chaos. He removes what is harmful without damaging what is good. He loosens chains without breaking the person. If you have felt blocked for a long time, it can feel strange when resistance begins to lift. You may feel cautious. You may feel unsure. That is normal. Trust develops gradually, just like freedom does. You are not imagining this moment. You are not overthinking it. God is present, and His presence carries authority. Where God's presence increases, hidden pressure decreases. Where God's truth enters, confusion loses ground. Where God's authority is recognized, resistance weakens. This is why staying until the end matters. Not because something magical happens at a specific second, but because persistence keeps the heart open long enough for God to complete what He has begun. Many people leave moments like this too early. They feel a little relief and move on. But lasting freedom comes from allowing God to finish His work, not from rushing ahead. As we move forward, do not measure progress by intensity. Measure it by peace. Measure it by how your inner world feels calmer. Measure it by how hope begins to feel possible again. God does not fight partially. He fights fully. He does not intervene halfway. He completes what He starts. You are not responsible for breaking every chain. You are responsible for staying aligned with God. God is responsible for the outcome. Right now, divine authority is active on your behalf. Even if you do not feel dramatic change, trust that God is working at a level deeper than emotion. Your role is not to analyze what is breaking. Your role is to remain receptive. Deliverance often feels quiet before it feels free. Stay here. Stay open. Let God continue. Before we move into the next part of this prayer, anchor this truth in your spirit and speak it with faith. God is fighting my battles for me. Write this declaration in the comments as an act of agreement. As you do, remember that you are standing with thousands of others who are believing God together. Remain here. The work is not finished. As we continue, it is important to allow what God is doing to settle. Freedom is not always a sudden escape. Very often it is a shift that begins on the inside. What God breaks spiritually, He stabilizes emotionally. What He releases internally, He strengthens gradually. Right now, something is changing beneath the surface. You may not be able to explain it clearly, but you can sense that the weight is not as heavy as it was before. Thoughts feel a little calmer. Breathing feels a little easier. Hope feels slightly closer. These are not coincidences. These are signs of movement. When hidden chains begin to loosen, the first thing God often restores is stability. Stability of thought. Stability of emotion, stability of expectation. God does not want you to leave this prayer excited and then collapse again. He wants what He does here to last. Many people fear change because they have been stuck for so long that stillness feels familiar. Movement can feel uncomfortable at first. When resistance begins to lift, the mind sometimes asks, is this real? That question is normal. Healing often begins with caution. God understands this. He does not rush your trust. He rebuilds it gently. That is why peace, not intensity, is the sign to watch for. When God is at work, peace increases even before circumstances change. As hidden pressure lifts, you may notice that your reactions begin to change. Things that once triggered anxiety may feel less overwhelming. Situations that once felt impossible may begin to feel manageable. This does not mean the journey is finished. It means the burden is no longer crushing you. God does not remove chains only to leave you unguarded. He replaces pressure with protection. He replaces confusion with clarity. He replaces fear with assurance. This exchange is part of His design. Psalm 91 reminds us that protection is not passive, it is active and ongoing. Even now, as freedom begins to grow, you are covered. You are not exposed to new attacks. You are not vulnerable to what used to overwhelm you. God remains your refuge. Psalm 17 reminds us that God guards the inner life. He watches over thoughts, motives, and emotions. He knows that true freedom must reach deeper than behavior. It must reach the heart. As God stabilizes you, He also teaches you to recognize peace as guidance. When peace increases, alignment is happening. When peace decreases, God invites you to pause and listen. This awareness is part of spiritual maturity. Do not be surprised if you feel more sensitive to your inner state right now. That sensitivity is not weakness. It is discernment growing. God is helping you recognize what supports freedom and what threatens it. You may also notice that your desire to rush ahead is slowing down. That is not delay. That is wisdom forming. God often slows the pace so that freedom has time to settle and take root. This is not the moment to judge your progress. This is the moment to receive it. Freedom is not measured by how dramatic it feels, but by how sustainable it becomes. If you have lived under pressure for a long time, peace can feel unfamiliar. Sometimes people unconsciously return to stress because it feels known. God gently retrains the heart to rest without fear. Stay with this process. Do not pull away from calm. Do not distrust quiet. God often does His deepest work in moments that feel gentle rather than intense. As we continue, allow yourself to let go of the need to monitor every change. You do not need to track what is breaking or how fast it is happening. God is precise. He knows exactly what He is doing. What matters now is your willingness to remain present and receptive. Freedom grows where resistance ends. If thoughts of doubt arise, acknowledge them without fear and return to trust. Doubt does not cancel what God is doing. It only invites reassurance, and God is patient with reassurance. This prayer is not about escaping life. It is about re-entering life with clarity and strength. God restores movement, not just relief. You may begin to sense new energy forming, not forced motivation, but natural willingness. Willingness to try again, willingness to hope again, willingness to believe that progress is possible. These small shifts matter. They are evidence that hidden resistance is losing influence. God does not overwhelm the soul with sudden freedom if the soul is not ready to carry it. He strengthens you as He releases you. This balance is part of His care. As this block comes to a close, remain attentive, remain open, do not rush to conclusions. Let what God is doing continue to unfold. Before we move forward, take a moment to engage your faith in a simple and honest way. Comment one word that represents what you are sensing right now. It may be peace, relief, hope, calm, clarity, or simply amen. Stay here. Freedom is growing. As we continue, it is important to understand that freedom is not only about removing what restricts you, it is also about healing what has been affected by long seasons of pressure. When a person has felt stuck for a long time, the heart often learns to protect itself by lowering expectations. God gently restores hope without overwhelming the soul. Many people do not realize how deeply repeated delays and disappointments can shape their inner life. Over time, hope becomes cautious, faith becomes quieter, dreams become smaller. This is not a lack of belief, it is a response to emotional fatigue. God understands this completely. Right now, God is not only loosening unseen chains, He is also addressing the patterns that formed while those chains were in place. Patterns of self-doubt, patterns of hesitation, patterns of expecting less in order to avoid disappointment. God does not judge you for these patterns, He heals them. When pressure lasts for a long time, the mind adapts. It learns to survive instead of expect. It learns to cope instead of trust deeply. God restores expectations slowly so that hope does not feel unsafe. As this prayer continues, you may notice that certain thoughts begin to lose their intensity. Thoughts like, what if it doesn't work, or what if nothing changes? These thoughts do not disappear instantly, but they begin to lose authority. God replaces them with steadiness rather than hype. Healing is often quiet. It does not announce itself loudly. It shows up as patience returning, as gentler self-talk, as less tension around the future. These are signs of restoration taking root. God is not asking you to suddenly believe everything will change overnight. He is inviting you to believe that change is possible again. That invitation alone is powerful. Breaking patterns does not require force. It requires awareness and trust. God breaks cycles not by exhausting you, but by guiding you into new responses. Where you once reacted with fear, you begin to pause. Where you once withdrew, you begin to engage again, carefully and wisely. If you have felt discouraged for a long time, joy may feel unfamiliar. That is okay. Joy does not need to be forced. God introduces it gently, like light entering a room slowly. Psalm 17 reminds us that God examines the heart. He sees the layers beneath behavior. He sees the reasons behind caution. He understands why hope became guarded. His examination is always connected to care. Psalm 91 reminds us that protection continues even while healing unfolds. You are not exposed during this process. God covers both your progress and your vulnerability. As God heals inner patterns, He also restores confidence. Not loud confidence, but quiet assurance. the kind of assurance that does not need constant validation, the kind that allows you to move forward without pressure. You may begin to notice that the idea of the future feels slightly less heavy. That is not imagination. That is hope beginning to breathe again. God does not replace fear with unrealistic expectations. He replaces fear with trust. Trust that He is present. Trust that He is working. Trust that He is faithful even when outcomes are still forming. This is a moment to be patient with yourself. Healing does not erase memory, but it softens its influence. What once defined your reactions begins to lose control. You may also notice that you feel less urgency to fix everything. That is a sign of surrender forming. God does not need you to solve your life. He needs you to trust Him with it. As patterns break, new space forms inside you. Space for peace, space for clarity, space for direction. God fills that space with His presence rather than pressure. If you feel emotions rising unexpectedly, allow them. Tears, relief, or even stillness are all valid responses. God works with honesty, not suppression. This prayer is not pushing you forward before you are ready. It is preparing you to move forward with stability. God does not want temporary relief. He wants sustainable freedom. As we continue, let go of the idea that healing must look dramatic. Often the deepest healing feels like rest. Remain here. Allow what God is doing to continue without interruption. Before we move into the next part of this prayer, connect with this community of faith and intercession. Write your prayer request in the comments. You are not alone. Whether your request is for freedom, clarity, healing, or strength, it matters. This community stands with you, and God sees every word. Stay here. The work is continuing. As we continue, it is time to strengthen what has been loosened and affirm what God is establishing. Freedom does not remain by emotion alone. It remains by truth. What God begins through awareness and healing, He secures through authority and faith. Authority does not mean striving. It does not mean forcing outcomes or proving strength. True spiritual authority is quiet confidence rooted in trust. It is the assurance that God is actively involved, even when circumstances are still unfolding. If you have felt stuck for a long time, it is natural to question whether progress will last. God understands this hesitation. That is why this moment is not about excitement, but about grounding. Grounding your faith in God's faithfulness rather than in temporary feelings. Right now, God is reinforcing stability. He is strengthening your inner posture so that freedom does not collapse under pressure. What was once fragile is becoming resilient. What once felt uncertain is becoming anchored. Hidden chains do not always break with noise. Often they lose power quietly as truth replaces fear. God does not need dramatic displays to assert His authority. His presence alone is enough. As this prayer continues, you may notice a growing sense of calm confidence, not arrogance, not denial, simply the quiet knowledge that you are not fighting alone and never were. This is important. Spiritual authority is not about confronting darkness directly. It is about aligning with God so completely that darkness loses relevance. Light does not argue with darkness, it displaces it. Psalm 91 reminds us that protection is not something we create, it is something we dwell in. As you remain under God's covering, you are not exposed to what once overwhelmed you. You are guarded as freedom stabilizes. Psalm 17 reminds us that God defends the inner life. He guards thoughts, motives, and intentions. Authority begins internally before it ever affects circumstances. If you have felt spiritually drained, this is where strength begins to return. Not through effort, but through alignment. When alignment increases, resistance decreases. You are not required to maintain freedom through constant vigilance. God does not hand you peace and then expect you to protect it alone. He remains involved, attentive, and present. As faith strengthens, fear loses leverage. Fear may still attempt to speak, but it no longer leads. Authority changes the order of influence. God's truth speaks first. You may begin to sense that decisions feel less pressured. The urgency to fix everything now begins to fade. That is a sign of trust forming. God does not operate in panic, He operates in purpose. This is also a moment to release false responsibility. You are not responsible for carrying every outcome. You are responsible for remaining faithful and receptive. God handles results. Authority also brings clarity. What once felt confusing begins to feel simpler, not because answers suddenly appear, but because peace begins to guide choices. You may notice that your inner dialogue changes. Where you once questioned yourself harshly, you begin to speak with patience. Where you once assumed failure, you begin to allow possibility. These are not small changes. They are evidence that God's authority is reshaping your inner world. If resistance attempts to return, do not engage it with fear. Simply return to trust. Authority does not argue, it rests. God does not remove chains only to leave you uncertain. He replaces restriction with assurance. Assurance that He is near. Assurance that He is capable. Assurance that He is faithful. This prayer is not about building your confidence in yourself. It is about strengthening your confidence in God. Confidence that does not fluctuate with circumstances. As we move forward, let your faith remain steady. You do not need to feel strong to be secure. You only need to stay aligned. God's authority is not fragile. It does not weaken when emotions shift. It does not disappear when doubts arise. It remains constant. Right now, what God has begun is being consolidated. Freedom is being secured. Peace is being reinforced. Direction is becoming clearer. This consolidation matters. It ensures that progress is not temporary. It allows what God has done to settle deeply rather than fade quickly. Remain here. Let what has been established become firm. Before we continue into the next part of this prayer, anchor your faith with this declaration. Speak it not as effort, but as trust. God is fighting my battles for me. Write this declaration in the comments as an act of agreement and confidence. As you do, remember that you are standing with thousands of intercessors who believe this truth together. Stay here. Freedom is being secured. As we continue, I want you to listen with your heart, not only with your ears. This is a turning point in this prayer. What we address now reaches deeper layers, the places where discouragement settled quietly and hope was slowly pressured into silence. If you have felt stuck for a long time, there is a moment when the soul begins to ask dangerous questions. Questions like, will this ever change? Or is this just how life will be? These questions are not sinful, but they are heavy. And if they are left unanswered, they can slowly steal expectation. Hear this clearly. God did not bring you this far to leave you here. Long seasons of resistance can make a person doubt their own discernment. You start to wonder if you are hearing God correctly. You start to second guess every step. You hesitate even when opportunities appear. This is one of the most damaging effects of hidden spiritual pressure. That pressure does not always scream. Sometimes it whispers, don't try again. Sometimes it whispers, lower your expectations. Sometimes it whispers, it's safer not to hope. But those whispers are not God. God does not lead His children through intimidation. He leads through peace, clarity, and assurance. When fear becomes the dominant voice, it is a sign that something foreign has been influencing your inner life. Right now we confront that influence, not with anger, but with truth. There is a difference between patience and resignation. Patience trusts God while waiting. Resignation gives up quietly. God restores patience. He removes resignation. If you have found yourself merely surviving instead of believing, this prayer is for you. If you stopped dreaming not because you wanted to, but because it hurt too much to expect again, God sees that wound. Hidden chains do not always restrict actions. Sometimes they restrict expectation. They convince a person to stop reaching, stop asking, stop believing deeply. That is a form of bondage that must be broken gently but firmly. God does not shame you for protecting your heart. He heals the place where protection turned into limitation. Right now, something important is happening. God is separating what belongs to Him from what does not. He is identifying which thoughts came from pressure and which came from truth. This separation brings relief. You may feel a mix of emotions: relief, tension, hope, caution. That is normal. When pressure begins to lift, the soul recalibrates. This is where many people leave prayer too early. They feel exposed emotionally and withdraw. But if you stay, stability replaces vulnerability. If you remain, clarity replaces confusion. Do not leave now. What God is addressing in this moment has been influencing your direction more than you realize. He is not only removing resistance, He is restoring alignment. Alignment brings momentum. Alignment brings peace. Alignment brings confidence to move again. God is not rushing you, but He is awakening you. If you feel tired, stay. If you feel emotional, stay. If you feel uncertain, stay. Staying is not weakness. Staying is agreement. God is stronger than the pressure that has been holding you. He is more faithful than the delay that frustrated you. He is more patient than the fear that cautioned you. Right now, God is breaking agreements you never consciously made. Agreements with fear, agreements with limitation, agreements with disappointment. You did not choose those agreements. They formed through survival. But today they are being dissolved. This is not imagination. This is intervention. You may not see chains falling, but you will feel space opening. Space to breathe, space to think, space to believe again. And that space matters, because freedom always begins with space. As this block comes to a close, I want you to pause and reflect on what you are sensing. Not what you think should be happening, but what is actually shifting inside you. Do not minimize it. Do not dismiss it. Do not rush past it. God is working where words cannot reach. Before we move forward, engage your faith with honesty and simplicity. Comment one word that represents what you need God to break or restore right now. It may be freedom, hope, direction, confidence, peace, or simply amen. Stay here. This is a turning point. As we continue, I want you to understand something very important. There are moments in prayer when God does not simply comfort the heart. He confronts what has been silently harming it. This is one of those moments. If you have felt emotionally tired for a long time, not because of one specific event, but because life itself feels heavy, God sees that. If you have carried disappointment quietly, telling yourself to be strong, to be patient, to not complain, God sees that too. Nothing you have endured has gone unnoticed. There is a kind of exhaustion that does not come from doing too much, but from hoping too many times and being disappointed too often. That exhaustion can slowly convince the heart to stop expecting change. And when expectation fades, movement fades with it. This is where hidden bondage often settles. Not as fear, not as panic, but as resignation. Resignation whispers, this is just how things are. Resignation whispers, don't expect too much. Resignation whispers, it's safer not to hope. But resignation is not from God. God never teaches His children to settle for limitation. He teaches them to rest while trusting, not to surrender hope. Rest and resignation are not the same. Rest is peaceful trust. Resignation is quiet defeat. God removes resignation and restores rest. Right now, God is touching the place where disappointment changed how you expect. He is healing the moment when hope became guarded. He is restoring the part of you that stopped believing deeply because it hurt too much to be disappointed again. This is why this prayer feels personal, because it is. God is not addressing a surface problem. He is addressing a deep agreement that formed over time. An agreement that said, I will stop expecting so I don't get hurt again. That agreement may have protected you emotionally for a season, but now it restricts you spiritually. And God is breaking it. You may feel emotion rising unexpectedly. You may feel tension releasing. You may feel tears or stillness or even resistance. All of that is normal. When God removes something that has been there for a long time, the soul responds. Do not pull away from this moment. Many people disconnect right here, not because God is not working, but because He is. Exposure can feel uncomfortable before it feels freeing. But if you stay, discomfort turns into relief. God is not asking you to pretend everything is fine. He is inviting you to be honest so He can heal fully. This is a safe moment. This is a protected moment. This is not a moment of judgment. Psalm 17 reminds us that God examines the heart. He does not examine to accuse, but to defend. He sees where pain shaped expectation. He sees where disappointment built walls. And He gently removes what no longer serves His purpose in your life. Psalm 91 reminds us that while God is working deeply, you are covered completely. Nothing is attacking you in this process. You are safe while God heals you. If you have been stuck emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, it is not because you are weak. It is because something has been draining you quietly for a long time. And quiet damage requires gentle but firm healing. Right now, God is restoring your ability to expect again, not with pressure, but with peace, not with unrealistic promises, but with grounded hope. Hope does not return as excitement first. It returns as willingness. Willingness to try again, willingness to believe that things can change, willingness to trust God one more time. That willingness is forming in you right now. Do not rush it. Do not test it. Do not question it away. Let it grow. As this block comes to a close, I want you to know this. You do not have to carry what you have been carrying alone anymore. God invites you to place it into His hands, fully and honestly. And this community is here to stand with you. Before we continue, take a moment to release what is heavy by naming it. Write your prayer request in the comments. You are not alone. Write it honestly. Write it simply. Whether it is fear, delay, confusion, exhaustion, or hope that needs restoration, it matters. And you are surrounded by intercessors who will stand with you. Stay here. God is not finished. As we continue, this is the moment where understanding turns into decision. There comes a point in every process of freedom when clarity is no longer enough. The heart must choose what it will agree with moving forward. Not emotionally, but spiritually. Hidden bondage survives through quiet agreement. Not conscious agreement, but emotional acceptance. Acceptance that says, this is just how things are. Acceptance that says, I will live with this. Acceptance that says, I don't expect more anymore. And today, that agreement is being broken. You did not choose to feel stuck. You did not choose the delays. You did not choose the exhaustion. But you can choose what voice you will align with now. And that choice carries power. God never forces freedom. He invites agreement with truth. Right now, God is calling you out of passive endurance and into active trust. Active trust does not mean striving. It means refusing to agree with limitation any longer. It means allowing God's truth to redefine what is possible. This is where spiritual chains finally lose authority. Chains remain strong when they go unchallenged. They weaken the moment truth confronts them. And truth is confronting every false conclusion that formed during your season of struggle. False conclusions like, this is permanent, this is my limit, this is as far as I go. Those conclusions are not facts, they are symptoms of pressure. God's truth speaks louder. This season is not your identity. This delay is not your destiny. This resistance is not stronger than me. Right now, God is restoring your authority to believe again without fear, authority to hope without shame, authority to move without apology. This does not mean every obstacle disappears instantly. It means obstacles no longer define you. You move forward without their permission. If you have felt hesitant to decide, hesitant to commit, hesitant to trust again, God understands why. Repeated disappointment teaches caution. But today, God is not asking you to rush. He is asking you to realign. Alignment shifts everything. When you align with fear, fear governs decisions. When you align with disappointment, disappointment sets expectations. When you align with God, God sets the direction. And God's direction always leads to life. This is the moment where internal resistance is confronted, not with force, but with authority. Authority that says, I no longer agree with what has been holding me back. You may feel a sense of firmness rising inside you, not anger, not frustration, but resolve. That resolve is important. It is the sign that your spirit is no longer willing to remain confined. Do not confuse resolve with pressure. Resolve is calm. Resolve is grounded. Resolve is steady. God is not stirring chaos in you. He is establishing clarity. As this happens, you may notice that fear attempts to resurface. Fear often reacts when it realizes it is losing control. Do not be alarmed. Do not engage it. Simply return to truth. Truth does not argue. Truth does not panic. Truth stands. Psalm 91 reminds us that protection remains even as authority is reclaimed. You are not exposed while you decide. You are covered. Psalm 17 reminds us that God defends the inner life. He guards your heart as you realign. Nothing is allowed to overwhelm you in this process. Right now, God is strengthening your spiritual posture. You are no longer bowed by pressure. You are standing in trust. Standing does not mean everything feels perfect. It means you are no longer agreeing with defeat. This is a critical shift. Many people pray for freedom but never change agreement. They ask God to remove chains while still believing they must live with limitation. Today, that cycle ends. You are not declaring victory because you feel strong. You are declaring victory because God is faithful. Victory is not arrogance. Victory is alignment with truth. And truth says that what has been resisting you is not greater than the God who stands with you. As we approach the next part of this prayer, allow this resolve to settle. Let it become calm confidence. Let it become quiet assurance. You do not need to announce this decision to anyone. Heaven has already heard it. Before we continue, anchor this truth with your voice and your faith. God is fighting my battles for me. Write this declaration in the comments as an act of agreement and authority. As you do, remember that you are not declaring this alone. You are declaring it alongside thousands of intercessors who believe this truth with you. Stay here. Freedom is no longer just beginning. It is being claimed. As we continue, allow your spirit to settle. What was confronted has been confronted. What was challenged has been challenged. Now God invites you into rest, not because the battle was imaginary, but because the battle is no longer yours to carry. There is a moment after every spiritual rupture where silence becomes sacred. Not emptiness, but peace. Not absence, but assurance. This is that moment. You may feel calmer than expected, or quieter, or simply less tense. That is not anticlimax, that is confirmation. When God finishes a work, He often leaves peace behind as evidence. Many people expect freedom to feel explosive, but often true freedom feels like relief, like breathing without pressure, like realizing you are no longer bracing for impact. This is the sign that something real has shifted. God does not replace chains with chaos. He replaces them with rest. He does not remove pressure only to leave uncertainty. He replaces it with confidence in His presence. If you notice your thoughts slowing down, that is not weakness. That is your nervous system responding to safety. When spiritual pressure lifts, the body often follows. Do not rush to fill this calm with worry or analysis. Do not question peace just because you are used to tension. God is retraining your inner life to recognize rest as normal again. This is where many people unknowingly sabotage their own freedom. They feel peace and immediately look for danger. They assume calm cannot last. But peace that comes from God is not fragile. It is anchored. Psalm 91 reminds us that protection continues even after deliverance. You are not protected only during the fight. You are protected during rest as well. God watches while you breathe. Psalm 17 reminds us that God guards the inner life. He does not only free you from what was outside, He secures what is inside. That security matters. You do not need to replay the battle in your mind. You do not need to monitor every emotion. Freedom does not require constant supervision. God sustains what He establishes. Right now, your responsibility is not to fight. It is to receive peace, receive rest, receive reassurance. You may notice a gentle confidence forming, not loud belief, but quiet trust. Trust that God is present. Trust that God is faithful. Trust that what was broken will not rebuild itself. This trust is not blind. It is informed by experience. You have felt the weight lift. You have sensed the shift, that awareness is enough. As freedom settles, God also begins to restore clarity. Decisions feel less urgent. The future feels less threatening. You do not need all the answers at once anymore. This is not avoidance. This is alignment. When alignment returns, urgency fades. God does not lead through panic. He leads through peace. If thoughts of fear attempt to return, do not engage them aggressively. Simply return to rest. Peace is not passive. Peace is positioning. When you remain in peace, you remain under God's authority. This is where endurance is rebuilt. Not endurance through struggle, but endurance through trust. You are learning to live without carrying what was never meant to be yours. God is not asking you to prove anything after this moment. He is not asking you to show dramatic change. He is inviting you to walk forward, gently, grounded, and aware. Freedom matures when it is not rushed. As this prayer continues, this calm will deepen, this rest will strengthen, this assurance will stabilize. Do not be surprised if sleep comes easier after this. Do not be surprised if your body relaxes. Healing often reaches places words never touched. God is careful with your heart. He does not overwhelm it. He restores it patiently. As we prepare to move into the next part of this prayer, take a moment to recognize what you are experiencing now. Not what you expect to feel, but what is actually present. Before we continue, engage your faith one more time in a simple, honest way. Comment one word that represents what you are feeling right now. It may be peace, relief, rest, calm, assurance, or simply, Amen. Stay here. What God has done is being sealed. As we continue, this is a moment to acknowledge what God has done and what He continues to do. Gratitude is not the end of prayer, it is a seal of trust. When we give thanks, we are not denying that challenges may still exist. We are declaring that God remains greater than anything ahead. Right now, gratitude grounds the soul. It anchors freedom so it does not drift. It reminds the heart that peace did not come by accident. It came through God's presence, care, and intervention. If you are feeling calmer than when you started, pause and recognize that. If your thoughts feel less heavy, notice that. If your heart feels more stable, honor that moment. These are not small things. They are signs of God's work settling deeply. God does not require dramatic expressions to confirm His presence. He often confirms Himself through steadiness, through calm, through the quiet realization that you are no longer carrying what once overwhelmed you. This is also a moment of protection. After freedom comes covering. God does not release His children and then leave them unguarded. He surrounds what He restores. He protects what He heals. Psalm 91 reminds us that God's covering does not expire. It is not temporary. It does not fade after prayer ends. Protection continues into daily life, into rest, into decisions, and into the unknown. Psalm 17 reminds us that God guards the inner life. He watches over thoughts and intentions. He protects peace from being slowly eroded by worry or fear. This inner guarding is essential. You do not need to fear losing what God has done. God is more invested in sustaining your freedom than you are. He does not abandon his work halfway. If moments of uncertainty arise later, remember this moment. Remember the calm. Remember the assurance. Return to trust. Freedom is maintained through remembrance as much as through prayer. This is also a moment to release gratitude for yourself, for staying, for not leaving early, for allowing God to work. Your willingness mattered. Your openness mattered. God honors hearts that remain present. As life resumes its normal pace, there may be moments when old thoughts attempt to resurface. That does not mean freedom failed. It means habit is adjusting. Simply return to peace. Peace is your reference point now. You do not need to fight thoughts aggressively. You do not need to panic if emotions fluctuate. Healing is not fragile. God stabilizes what he restores. Right now, your inner life is more secure than it was before this prayer. Not because everything is resolved, but because you are not alone in what remains. God's presence goes with you. God's peace remains within you. God's protection surrounds you. Let gratitude replace vigilance. Let trust replace fear. Let rest replace overthinking. This prayer is not ending abruptly. It is transitioning into ongoing awareness of God's nearness. Before we move forward, I invite you to release what is still on your heart by naming it. Write your prayer request in the comments. You are not alone. Whether it is for continued peace, protection, clarity, or strength, your request matters. This community of intercessors stands with you, and God sees every word. Stay here. God's covering remains. As we continue, this is the moment where everything that has been prayed, spoken, and released begins to align into clarity. This is not a moment of effort. It is a moment of confirmation. Confirmation that what God has done is real, intentional, and lasting. Freedom is not only the removal of pressure, it is the restoration of identity. When hidden chains lose authority, the soul begins to remember who it is beneath the weight. Strength returns, not as force, but as recognition. You are not defined by the season that tried to limit you. You're not defined by the delay that frustrated you. You're not defined by the exhaustion that slowed you down. You're defined by the God who has been walking with you through all of it. Many people leave moments like this thinking, I hope this lasts. But God does not work in uncertainty. What he establishes, he sustains. What he restores, he protects. What he frees, he guards. Right now, something important is being confirmed in you. You are not powerless. You were never powerless. You were pressured. And pressure has limits. God does not. This prayer was not about making you feel better temporarily. It was about reminding you where your strength comes from. Strength that does not depend on circumstances. Strength that does not collapse under delay. As you move forward after this prayer, your posture changes. You no longer approach life from a place of quiet defeat. You move with awareness, with discernment, with confidence grounded in God's presence. This does not mean you will never face resistance again. It means resistance will no longer define you. It will no longer silence you. It will no longer control your expectations. You are learning to recognize peace as your anchor. When peace remains, alignment is present. When peace is disturbed, wisdom pauses. This awareness is a gift that will guide you beyond this moment. Psalm 91 reminds us that God's covering does not fluctuate with circumstances. You are protected in movement, protected in stillness, protected in decision, protected in rest. Psalm 17 reminds us that God defends the inner life. He guards your heart from subtle intrusions. He protects your thoughts from quiet erosion. He stands watch over what matters most. This is not something you need to maintain through constant vigilance. God does not place freedom in your hands and walk away. He remains actively involved. He remains attentive. He remains faithful. If at any point after this prayer you feel uncertainty rise, return to what you know. Return to peace. Return to trust. Return to the truth that God has already intervened. You do not need to replay the struggle to prove that it happened. You do not need to rehearse the pain to validate the healing. What has been done does not need to be re-experienced to remain real. God is not asking you to live cautiously. He is inviting you to live attentively. Attentiveness allows you to move forward without fear. It allows you to respond instead of react. As freedom matures, confidence grows quietly. You begin to notice that you trust your steps again. You trust your discernment again. You trust that God is guiding you even when answers are still forming. This trust is not naive. It is informed by experience. You have seen God meet you here. You have felt the shift. That matters. The chains that once held you back no longer have authority to redefine your future. They may attempt to remind you of the past, but they do not determine what comes next. God determines what comes next. And God is not limited by what limited you. As this block draws to a close, allow this truth to settle deeply. Let it anchor you. Let it steady you. Let it remind you that you are not walking forward alone. This is not the end of prayer. It is the beginning of walking differently. Before we move into the final moments of this video, seal this truth with faith and confidence. God is fighting my battles for me. Write this declaration in the comments as a statement of trust and agreement. As you do, remember that you are part of a community of intercessors who stand together in this truth. Stay here. What God has done is complete, and what He is doing continues. As we move into this final block, I want you to understand something deeply. What God has done during this prayer is not meant to fade when the moment ends. It is meant to carry forward into your daily life, shaping how you think, how you respond, and how you move. Freedom is not only about what breaks behind you, it is also about what opens in front of you. Right now, God is sealing what has been released. He is closing doors that were never meant to remain open and opening space where restriction once lived. This sealing is quiet, but it is firm. Nothing that God has removed is allowed to reclaim authority over you. You may not feel dramatically different, and that is okay. God does not always announce His work with emotion. Sometimes He confirms it with stability. Stability of thought, stability of peace, stability of direction. That stability matters, because when stability returns, clarity follows. You may begin to notice that decisions no longer feel as heavy, that the future no longer feels as threatening, that you are less reactive and more aware. These are not coincidences. They are signs that alignment has been restored. God is not just freeing you from what held you back. He is realigning you with who you were always meant to be beneath the pressure. Pressure distorts perception. Freedom restores perspective. You are beginning to see clearly again. This is also the moment where God strengthens discernment. Discernment is the ability to recognize what belongs in your life and what does not. As freedom settles, distractions lose attraction. You become less interested in what drains you and more attentive to what gives life. This is a sign of spiritual health. God is teaching you to move without rushing, to decide without fear, to trust without needing constant reassurance. This does not happen overnight, but it begins here. If at any point after this prayer you feel uncertainty, return to what you know. Return to peace. Return to the awareness that God has already intervened. Do not measure progress by perfection. Measure it by alignment. Alignment does not mean everything is easy. Alignment means you are no longer fighting in the wrong direction. God is also restoring courage. Not reckless courage, but steady courage. the courage to take small steps again, the courage to trust opportunities without fear, the courage to believe that your story is still unfolding. You are not starting over from nothing. You are moving forward with clarity. As this prayer comes to completion, do not rush to fill the quiet with noise. Allow what God has done to settle. Let it become part of you rather than just something you experienced. God does not want this moment to remain external. He wants it to become internalized. That is how freedom lasts. You may notice that gratitude begins to rise naturally. Gratitude is not denial of hardship. It is recognition of God's faithfulness. Let gratitude anchor you. You may also notice that your inner dialogue has softened. You speak to yourself with more patience, with more understanding, with more trust. This is not accidental. God is reshaping how you relate to yourself. He is restoring dignity. Dignity that pressure tried to erode. Dignity that delay tried to question. Dignity that fear tried to silence. You were never diminished by what you endured. You were refined, and refinement always prepares for something new. As we close this block, I want you to reflect on what this prayer has stirred within you. Not what you expected, but what you sensed. Not what you forced, but what you received. That awareness matters. Before we fully close, engage your faith one final time in a simple but powerful way. Comment one word that represents what you are stepping into after this prayer. It may be freedom, clarity, peace, confidence, direction, or simply amen. Stay grounded, stay aware. What God has begun is not ending, it is continuing. As we continue, we enter a deeper layer of this prayer. This is the place where God not only frees the future, but gently heals the past. Many people want deliverance without revisiting what wounded them, but God restores completely. He does not rush past pain, He redeems it. If you have felt emotionally guarded, cautious, or closed off in certain areas of your life, God understands why. Those walls did not form out of rebellion, they formed out of survival. And God does not condemn survival. He heals what survival created. Long seasons of pressure often teach the heart to protect itself quietly. You stop sharing deeply. You stop expecting support. You stop believing that others will understand. Over time, isolation can form even when people are around. God sees that isolation. He sees the moments when you wanted to speak but chose silence instead. He sees the prayers you whispered instead of declared. He sees the emotions you carried alone because you did not want to burden anyone. This prayer is not only about breaking chains ahead of you, it is also about releasing what has been trapped inside you. Right now, God is touching places that were never meant to remain locked. Not forcefully, not abruptly, but with care, with patience, with understanding. You may feel emotion rising that you did not expect. Memories, sensations, feelings that surface quietly. Do not be alarmed. Healing often reaches places logic never touched. God is not reopening wounds to cause pain. He is opening them to let light in. This is a sacred moment. Many people believe they must be strong all the time, but strength without rest eventually becomes exhaustion. God does not ask you to perform strength. He invites you into rest. If you have been carrying emotional weight for a long time, it can feel strange to lay it down. You may wonder who you are without it. God gently answers that question by restoring peace. Peace does not erase memory. Peace changes its influence. What once controlled you begins to soften. What once defined you begins to lose authority. God is restoring emotional safety. Safety to feel again. Safety to trust again. Safety to hope without fear of collapse. You are not being asked to relive pain. You are being invited to release it. As this prayer continues, allow yourself to be honest with God. You do not need perfect words. You do not need polished faith. God responds to sincerity, not performance. If tears come, allow them. If stillness comes, receive it. If nothing feels dramatic, trust that God is still working. Healing is not measured by intensity, it is measured by freedom. Psalm 17 reminds us that God examines the heart. He sees the reasons behind withdrawal. He understands why trust became cautious. His examination is always paired with protection. Psalm 91 reminds us that even in vulnerable moments, we are covered. You are not exposed while you heal. You are safe in God's presence. Right now, God is lifting emotional burdens you learned to live with, burdens you assumed were permanent, burdens you stopped naming because they felt too familiar. You do not need to justify your pain. You do not need to minimize it. You do not need to carry it anymore. God does not shame wounds, He heals them. As healing unfolds, you may notice a softening inside, a sense of openness returning, a willingness to engage life again without bracing for disappointment. This does not mean you will never be cautious again. It means caution will no longer control you. God restores balance, wisdom without fear, discernment without withdrawal, strength without hardness. You are being made whole, not just free. As this block nears its close, remain still for a moment. Let what God is doing continue without interruption. Do not rush to define it. Simply receive it. And remember, you are not alone in this process. Before we move forward, I invite you to place what still feels heavy into the care of this community of faith. Write your prayer request in the comments. You are not alone. Write it simply. Write it honestly. Whether it is emotional healing, restored trust, peace, or strength, your request matters, and thousands of intercessors stand with you. Stay here. Healing is still unfolding. As we continue, allow your spirit to enter a quieter place. This is not a retreat from life, it is a return to center. After confrontation and healing, God invites His children into rest that restores strength rather than drains it. Many people confuse rest with stopping, but spiritual rest is not inactivity. It is alignment. It is the moment when the soul stops bracing for impact and begins to trust again. If you have lived under pressure for a long time, calm can feel unfamiliar. Your body learned to stay alert. Your mind learned to anticipate problems. Your heart learned to stay guarded. God understands these learned responses, and He gently retrains them. Right now, God is teaching your inner life that it is safe to rest. Rest does not mean everything is resolved. Rest means everything is held. When God holds what concerns you, striving loses its purpose. Effort relaxes, tension releases. The need to control outcomes fades. This is where renewal begins. You may notice that your breathing feels deeper, your thoughts feel less crowded, your emotions feel steadier. These are not small changes, they are signs that your nervous system and your spirit are responding to safety. God's presence creates safety. In this place of quiet trust, God restores strength without noise, strength that does not depend on adrenaline, strength that does not collapse under pressure, strength that remains steady. If your faith has felt tired, this is where it is renewed. Not by demanding more from you, but by giving more to you. God does not ask exhausted hearts to produce strength. He supplies it. This renewal is subtle, but it is real. You may feel less urgency to rush ahead, less pressure to have everything figured out, less fear about what comes next. That is wisdom forming. God slows the pace to protect what He has restored. As rest deepens, clarity often follows. Not clarity that overwhelms with details, but clarity that simplifies. You begin to sense what matters most, what can wait, what needs attention. Peace guides prioritization. This is a gift. In this quiet space, God also heals the relationship between effort and trust. You learn that you can act without anxiety and wait without fear. Both are expressions of faith. If you have struggled with overthinking, notice how thoughts lose intensity here. Overthinking thrives on uncertainty and fear. Rest interrupts its cycle. As trust increases, mental noise decreases. God is not silencing your mind, He is calming it. You are not becoming passive, you are becoming grounded. Grounded faith is resilient. It does not rise and fall dramatically. It remains steady through changing seasons. This is where many people rediscover joy, not loud joy, but gentle appreciation. Gratitude for small things, contentment in the present moment, joy that does not need constant excitement. God restores joy without pressure. As this prayer continues, you may sense a growing willingness to face the future without dread. That willingness matters. It means fear is no longer setting the tone. Fear does not disappear all at once, but it no longer leads. In this rest, God also strengthens discernment. You become more aware of what drains you and what nourishes you. You learn to step away from what disturbs peace and lean into what sustains it. This discernment protects freedom. You may also notice a soft confidence forming, not pride, not self-reliance, simply the quiet assurance that God is with you and that you are not navigating life alone. This confidence does not shout, it settles. As renewal continues, allow yourself to remain here without forcing conclusions. You do not need to label this moment. You only need to receive it. God does not rush restoration. He completes it carefully. If distractions arise, gently return. If doubts whisper, acknowledge them and return to trust. Rest is not fragile. It grows stronger as you return to it. This is the posture that sustains freedom. Before we move forward, take a moment to engage your faith in a simple way. Comment one word that represents what you are receiving right now. It may be rest, peace, trust, renewal, calm, or simply amen. Stay here. Rest is restoring you. As we continue, this is the moment where rest begins to turn into direction. Not rushed movement, not pressured decisions, but clear steps guided by peace. God never restores rest so that His children remain still forever. He restores rest so they can move forward without fear. Many people confuse stillness with stagnation, but what God has been doing in you is not stagnation, it is preparation. Preparation always precedes movement, and movement guided by God is never chaotic. If you have been unsure about your next step, this prayer is realigning your inner compass. Direction does not always arrive as a loud instruction. Often it comes as a quiet sense of "this feels right," replacing "everything feels heavy." That shift matters. God does not lead through anxiety. When anxiety dominates, direction becomes distorted. Now that peace has been restored, direction can be trusted again. You may notice that certain paths no longer attract you the way they used to. Certain habits, conversations, or expectations lose their pull. That is discernment strengthening. God is refining your focus. Direction is not only about where to go, it is also about what to leave behind. God gently removes attachments that were formed during survival seasons, attachments to urgency, attachments to over-explaining, attachments to proving yourself. These things once helped you cope, but they no longer serve you. You are not losing anything valuable, you are gaining clarity. As direction forms, confidence begins to rise, not the kind that demands certainty, but the kind that allows trust. Trust that God will guide the next step when it is time to take it. You do not need to see the entire path. You only need to trust the next step. Many people remain stuck because they wait for complete certainty before moving. God rarely works that way. He gives enough clarity for obedience, not enough detail to control the outcome. This is where activated faith begins. Activated faith is not dramatic. It is practical trust. Trust that moves gently but decisively. Trust that does not rush but does not retreat either. If you have been afraid of making the wrong decision, understand this: God is more committed to guiding you than you are to following Him. He does not abandon sincere hearts in the middle of movement. You are not walking alone. Psalm 91 reminds us that protection remains active as we move. You are not protected only in stillness. You are protected in motion. God covers your steps, not just your rest. Psalm 17 reminds us that God guards the inner life as decisions are made. He protects motives, intentions, and direction. He corrects gently if adjustment is needed. This removes the fear of getting it wrong. Right now, God is restoring courage, not reckless courage, but steady willingness. Willingness to respond when opportunity appears. Willingness to say yes when peace confirms it. Willingness to let go when something no longer aligns. This courage does not shout, it stands. You may feel a subtle readiness forming, a sense that life is no longer something to endure, but something to engage again. That readiness is important. It means stagnation is losing influence. God is not pushing you forward, He is inviting you forward. Invitation respects timing. Invitation respects capacity. Invitation respects healing. As faith activates, you may notice resistance attempting to question progress. Thoughts like, what if this doesn't last? Or, what if I fall back? These thoughts are familiar, but they are no longer authoritative. Return to peace. Peace confirms alignment. God does not ask you to monitor your freedom constantly. He asks you to trust His presence within it. Freedom is sustained by relationship, not vigilance. As you prepare to move forward after this prayer, remember this: progress does not need to be fast to be real. Consistency matters more than speed. Small steps taken in peace lead further than rushed steps taken in fear. God is teaching you to walk differently now. Not guarded, not rushed, but aware and anchored. This is the posture that sustains momentum. As this block comes to a close, take a moment to acknowledge what is forming inside you: the willingness, the readiness, the clarity. Do not dismiss it, do not minimize it. God is preparing your next step. Before we move forward, seal this moment with confidence and trust. God is fighting my battles for me. Write this declaration in the comments as a statement of faith and alignment. As you do, remember that you are part of a community that moves forward together, covered and guided by God. Stay here. Direction is becoming clear. As we continue, it is important to speak about perseverance. Not the kind that forces strength when you are empty, but the kind that remains steady because God is present. Perseverance is not about enduring pain endlessly. It is about walking forward with trust, even when the path is still forming. Many people believe that once freedom begins, everything becomes easy. But freedom does not remove responsibility. It restores capacity. God strengthens you so that you can continue without collapsing when challenges appear. This is where spiritual resilience is built. Resilience is not hardness. It is flexibility anchored in faith. It is the ability to face moments of uncertainty without returning to fear. It is the ability to experience pressure without losing peace. If you have felt fragile in the past, understand this: fragility does not disqualify you. It reveals where God wants to strengthen you, and God strengthens gently, not harshly. As you move forward after this prayer, there may be days that feel light and days that feel heavy. That does not mean freedom is fading. It means life is still unfolding. The difference now is that heaviness no longer defines you. You are learning to remain steady. Steadiness does not mean you never feel emotion. It means emotion no longer controls direction. You acknowledge what you feel without allowing it to dictate what you believe. This is spiritual maturity forming. God does not expect perfection from you. He expects presence. Presence keeps you connected even when understanding is incomplete. Presence allows God to adjust, guide, and strengthen you along the way. Psalm 91 reminds us that God's protection is not seasonal. It does not disappear when life becomes demanding. His covering remains in ordinary days, not just dramatic moments. Psalm 17 reminds us that God defends the inner life continuously. He guards your heart not only during prayer, but during decision-making, conversation, work, and rest. This ongoing protection matters. If resistance tries to reappear, do not be surprised. Resistance often tests what has changed. But what once overwhelmed you will not overwhelm you now. You respond differently. You pause instead of panic. You trust instead of withdraw. That difference is evidence of growth. Perseverance does not require constant effort. It requires consistent return. Return to peace. Return to trust. Return to prayer when needed. Return to awareness that you are not walking alone. God does not ask you to carry the entire journey at once. He walks with you one step at a time. As resilience grows, you may notice that your reactions become slower. You think before responding. You feel less urgency to defend yourself. You feel less pressure to explain everything. That is not indifference. That is security. Security allows perseverance. You may also notice that setbacks no longer feel like failures. They feel like information. You learn, adjust, and continue. This shift protects hope. God is teaching you that progress is not fragile. It bends, adjusts, and continues. If fear tries to convince you that you must always be on guard, remember this: God is your guard. You do not need to live tense to remain protected. Living tense drains strength. Living aware sustains it. As you continue walking forward, allow yourself to grow without rushing. Growth that is rushed often collapses. Growth that is nurtured becomes stable. This is a season of stability. God is not asking you to prove anything to Him or to anyone else. He is inviting you to remain faithful in small, ordinary ways. Faithfulness in the ordinary builds endurance for the extraordinary. If at any point you feel tired again, return to rest. Rest is not retreat. Rest is renewal. Renewal allows perseverance to continue without burnout. God does not want you strong for a moment. He wants you sustained. As this block comes to a close, remember that perseverance is not about pushing through alone. It is about staying connected, staying open, staying aware. You do not need to predict every challenge ahead. God already sees them, and He has already committed to walking with you through them. Before we continue, take a moment to release anything that feels heavy or uncertain by placing it into God's care. Write your prayer request in the comments. You are not alone. Whether it is for continued strength, endurance, guidance, or peace, your request matters. This community of intercessors stands with you, and God sees every word. Stay here. Your journey is continuing, and you are not walking it alone. As we continue, it is time to speak about vigilance. Not fear-based vigilance, but healthy spiritual awareness. There is a difference between living guarded by fear and living guided by wisdom. God does not free His children so they can live anxious about losing freedom. He frees them so they can live aware without tension. Healthy vigilance is calm. Fear-based vigilance is exhausting. God is teaching you the difference. After seasons of pressure, many people remain alert in unhealthy ways. They scan constantly for danger. They overanalyze emotions. They question every calm moment. This is not wisdom. It is residue of stress. God gently removes this residue and replaces it with discernment. Discernment does not look for danger everywhere. Discernment recognizes peace when it is present. Right now, God is helping you relearn what safety feels like. Safety is not the absence of challenges, it is the presence of God in the midst of them. When safety is restored internally, vigilance becomes balanced. Balanced vigilance does not disrupt rest. It protects it. You may notice that you are becoming more aware of your inner state, not in a critical way, but in an attentive way. You recognize when something disturbs peace and you pause instead of reacting. That pause is powerful. It prevents old patterns from regaining control. This is spiritual maturity forming. Maturity is not perfection. Maturity is responsiveness guided by peace. God does not want you hyper-alert. He wants you aware and grounded. Awareness allows you to respond wisely without carrying unnecessary weight. If you feel moments of caution arise, do not judge them. Simply examine them gently. Ask yourself, is this wisdom or is this fear? Peace will always accompany wisdom. Tension accompanies fear. Return to peace as your reference point. Psalm 91 reminds us that protection is constant. You do not need to create safety through control. God provides safety through presence. His covering does not require your anxiety to remain active. Psalm 17 reminds us that God guards the inner life. He protects thoughts before they overwhelm. He alerts gently rather than alarms aggressively. This gentle alerting preserves balance. God is not training you to anticipate harm. He is training you to recognize alignment. Alignment feels calm, steady, and clear. When alignment is present, decisions feel simpler. When alignment is disturbed, wisdom pauses rather than panics. This is how freedom is maintained. As maturity grows, you may notice that you are less reactive to external noise. Opinions, pressure, and comparison lose influence. You are not becoming indifferent. You are becoming centered. Centered people are resilient. Resilience does not mean you never feel shaken. It means you return to balance more quickly. You do not spiral. You do not catastrophize. You adjust and continue. God is strengthening your ability to recalibrate. If unexpected challenges arise, you will notice that your first response is no longer fear. It may be prayer. It may be stillness. It may be thoughtful action. That shift matters more than you realize. You are no longer reacting from survival. You are responding from stability. This is evidence of healing and growth. God is also teaching you boundaries, not walls, but boundaries. Boundaries protect peace without isolating the heart. You learn what to engage and what to step back from. This discernment preserves energy. You may feel less obligated to explain yourself, less pressured to justify decisions, less driven to prove worth. These are signs that identity is stabilizing. God's work in you is becoming integrated into daily life, not confined to prayer moments. Integration is the goal of true freedom. Freedom that only exists during prayer is fragile. Freedom that exists during daily life is mature. As this block continues, allow yourself to appreciate how far you have come, not with pride, but with gratitude. Recognition reinforces stability. You are not the same person you were when this prayer began. Something has shifted in how you relate to yourself, to God, and to life. Do not rush past that realization. As vigilance becomes healthy, trust deepens. Trust that God will alert you when necessary. Trust that peace will guide you. Trust that you do not need to carry everything consciously. God does not overwhelm his children with constant alerts. He speaks when it matters. If at any point you feel uncertain, return to simplicity. Return to prayer. Return to presence. Complexity often increases when trust decreases. God is simplifying your inner world. As we prepare to move forward, anchor this moment by acknowledging what you are learning to embody now. Before we continue, engage your faith with a simple expression. Comment one word that represents the balance or strength God is building in you. It may be wisdom, peace, discernment, stability, trust, or simply amen. Stay here. Maturity is growing and freedom is becoming your normal. As we continue, it is time to speak about how freedom is lived daily, not just felt during prayer, but carried into ordinary moments. True deliverance is not measured by how powerful a prayer feels, but by how life begins to feel lighter afterward. God never intended freedom to be something you visit occasionally. He intended it to be something you live in consistently. Many people experience moments of breakthrough, but struggle to maintain them because they believe freedom must be constantly defended through effort. But God does not maintain freedom through pressure. He maintains it through relationship. Your daily walk with God is not about intensity, it is about consistency. Consistency does not mean perfection. Consistency means returning. Returning to prayer when needed, returning to peace when thoughts become noisy, returning to trust when uncertainty tries to rise. This returning posture keeps freedom alive. As you move through daily life, you may encounter familiar situations that once triggered anxiety or discouragement. The difference now is not that those situations disappear, but that your response has changed. You pause instead of react. You breathe instead of panic. You pray instead of withdraw. These small changes matter deeply. God works through the ordinary. He strengthens faith not only in quiet prayer moments, but in conversations, decisions, work, rest, and waiting. Every ordinary moment becomes a place where freedom is practiced. This is how freedom matures. If at times you feel tempted to measure your progress emotionally, remember this: feelings fluctuate. Alignment remains. God's presence is not dependent on how you feel on a given day. You are not losing ground because you feel tired. You are not failing because a day feels heavy. Freedom does not mean life becomes effortless. It means life becomes navigable without fear dominating every step. Psalm 91 reminds us that God's protection covers daily routines, not just spiritual moments. You are protected when you wake up, when you work, when you rest, and when you sleep. His covering is not limited by location or activity. Psalm 17 reminds us that God continues to guard the inner life. He watches over thoughts as they form. He redirects gently when the mind drifts toward fear or doubt. You are not alone in maintaining awareness. God partners with you. This partnership removes pressure. You are not responsible for maintaining perfection. You are responsible for remaining receptive. Receptiveness keeps the connection open. As you practice daily trust, you may notice that faith becomes quieter but stronger. It no longer needs constant reinforcement. It becomes a steady foundation beneath your choices. This is mature faith. Mature faith does not announce itself loudly. It shows itself in calm decisions, patient waiting, and steady hope. It trusts God even when outcomes are still unfolding. God is not asking you to live hyper-spiritual. He is asking you to live aware. Awareness keeps you connected without exhausting you. If you notice old patterns trying to reappear, do not panic. Patterns lose power when they are recognized calmly. You acknowledge them, return to peace, and continue forward. This calm response breaks cycles. You may also find that you are less drawn to things that once drained you, not because you force yourself to avoid them, but because your appetite has changed. God is reshaping desire, not imposing restriction. This is a sign of inner alignment. Daily freedom is sustained by simple practices, moments of prayer, moments of gratitude, moments of stillness. These moments do not need to be long to be effective. They need to be sincere. God honors sincerity. As trust deepens, fear loses urgency. Fear may still attempt to speak, but it no longer commands attention. You recognize it and return to truth. Truth is not something you argue for. Truth is something you rest in. God is teaching you to live from rest, not from reaction. This changes everything. If your days become busy, do not assume you have lost connection. God walks with you in motion as much as in stillness. Awareness, not isolation, sustains freedom. You are learning to bring God into daily life, rather than stepping away from life to reach Him. This integration matters. God's presence is not fragile. It does not disappear when attention shifts temporarily. It remains available. Returning is always possible. As this block comes to a close, remember that freedom grows stronger through everyday faithfulness. Small acts of trust accumulate. Quiet obedience builds endurance. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are learning to live differently, and God is pleased with that process. Before we continue, anchor this truth in your spirit and declare it with confidence. God is fighting my battles for me. Write this declaration in the comments as an act of trust and consistency. As you do, remember that you are standing with a community that chooses daily faith, not momentary emotion. Stay here. Freedom is becoming your way of life. As we continue, this is the moment where hope begins to look forward again. Not with anxiety, not with pressure, but with quiet expectation rooted in trust. God does not restore freedom only to heal the past. He restores it to prepare the future. Hope that has been wounded often becomes cautious. It waits, but without expectation. It watches, but without anticipation. God is healing that posture now. He is restoring a form of hope that is steady, not fragile. Biblical hope is not wishful thinking. It is confident expectation grounded in God's character. Right now, God is reshaping how you look at what is ahead. The future no longer appears as something to fear or avoid. It becomes something to approach with wisdom and peace. This does not mean you suddenly see all the answers. It means fear is no longer defining the questions. Many people lose hope not because God failed, but because waiting became painful. Over time, waiting without clarity can feel like abandonment. God understands this deeply, and He is restoring trust in His timing. God's timing is not punishment. God's timing is protection. He delays what would overwhelm you. He accelerates what would bless you. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not out of alignment. You are being prepared. As hope renews, you may notice that your imagination changes. You allow yourself to think about good outcomes again. You consider possibilities without immediately dismissing them. That openness matters. God often restores hope before He reveals direction. This protects the heart. Hope that is restored too quickly can collapse under pressure. Hope that is healed gently becomes resilient. God is building resilience in you. As you look ahead, do not measure your future by past disappointments. What did not work before does not determine what God can do next. God is not limited by patterns. He is not restricted by history. History informs wisdom. It does not limit possibility. You may notice that fear tries to interrupt hopeful thoughts. Fear often attempts to guard against disappointment. When that happens, do not judge yourself. Simply return to trust. Trust does not demand certainty. Trust rests in God's faithfulness. Psalm 91 reminds us that God's protection goes before us. He is not only guarding where you are now, He is guarding where you are going. This removes the need to anticipate danger. Psalm 17 reminds us that God examines the heart as it hopes. He protects you from building false expectations. He keeps hope grounded, not inflated. God does not give hope that misleads. He gives hope that sustains. As expectation becomes healthier, impatience loses influence. You stop demanding immediate outcomes. You become willing to walk step by step. This patience is not resignation, it is maturity. Mature hope does not rush God, it trusts Him. You may also notice that comparison loses its grip. When hope is restored internally, the success or timing of others no longer threatens you. You recognize that God's work in your life is personal and intentional. This freedom protects joy. God is not asking you to chase outcomes. He is inviting you to walk with Him toward them. Walking with God always produces peace, even before results appear. If you feel uncertain about the future at times, remember this. Uncertainty does not cancel hope. It simply reminds you to trust. Hope does not require clarity. Hope requires faithfulness. God has been faithful to bring you through what you have already faced. That faithfulness does not stop here. It continues forward. As this prayer continues, allow yourself to imagine a future marked by peace rather than pressure. Not perfection, but presence. not control, but trust. This vision matters. Vision shapes direction. Direction shapes decisions. Decisions shape life. God is aligning all three. You do not need to plan everything now. You do not need to predict every outcome. You are allowed to move forward with openness rather than certainty. This openness creates space for God to act. As we prepare to move forward, acknowledge what is forming in you now. The willingness to hope again, the courage to trust timing, the patience to walk forward calmly. These are signs of renewal. Before we continue, take a moment to place your future into God's hands by naming what you are trusting Him with. Write your prayer request in the comments. You are not alone. Whether it is direction, provision, restoration, or clarity about what comes next, your request matters. This community of intercessors stands with you, and God sees every word. Stay here. Hope is being restored, and your future is unfolding in God's care. As we continue, this is a moment of deliberate surrender. Not surrender as defeat, but surrender as trust. Trust that God's care is sufficient, intentional, and constant. Many people carry hidden stress because they believe everything depends on them. God gently releases that burden now. Control often feels like safety, but it slowly becomes pressure. When you try to manage every outcome, every emotion, every possibility, the soul never truly rests. God does not ask you to abandon responsibility. He asks you to release control that was never meant to be yours. Right now, God is inviting you to place what you cannot manage into His hands. This invitation is not urgent, it is patient, it is safe. Surrender does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying. Carrying creates exhaustion, trust creates rest. If you have felt the need to stay alert all the time, to anticipate problems before they happen, to hold yourself together without help, God sees that effort. He honors your perseverance, and now He offers relief. Relief does not come from having all the answers. Relief comes from knowing who holds them. As this prayer continues, allow yourself to loosen your grip, not suddenly, not dramatically, but honestly. You do not need to release everything at once. God receives what you offer, even if it is small. You may notice a subtle resistance to letting go. That resistance is familiar. It formed when trust felt risky. God does not judge that resistance. He meets it with patience. Trust is rebuilt gently. Psalm 91 reminds us that God's protection does not depend on our vigilance. We are protected because we dwell in Him, not because we monitor everything perfectly. His care remains active even when we rest. Psalm 17 reminds us that God guards the inner life. He watches over thoughts and intentions. He notices when the mind tries to take back control and gently redirects it toward peace. You are not required to stay tense, to stay safe. Right now, God is teaching your heart that safety does not come from effort. It comes from presence, His presence. As you surrender control, you may feel lighter or calmer or simply less burdened. Sometimes, surrender feels like nothing happening at all. That is okay. What matters is that something is no longer being carried alone. God does not take control away from you to disempower you. He takes control to protect you. He handles outcomes with wisdom that surpasses our understanding. You may notice that worries lose urgency, not because they are solved, but because they are placed into God's care where they belong. This placement is powerful. When worries are placed with God, they no longer circulate endlessly in the mind. They become prayers instead of pressures. Prayers invite peace. If your thoughts attempt to return to problem-solving mode, gently redirect them. You are allowed to plan without anxiety. You are allowed to think without spiraling. Trust creates balance. God does not want you passive. He wants you present. Presence allows you to act when action is needed and rest when rest is needed. Control blurs that distinction. Trust clarifies it. As surrender deepens, you may notice that your body responds. Muscles relax. Breathing deepens. This is not just emotional. It is physical evidence that safety is being recognized. God cares for your whole being. You do not need to explain surrender. You do not need to justify rest. You do not need to prove faith by exhaustion. Faith expresses itself through trust. If fear whispers that letting go is dangerous, remind yourself of this truth. God has never failed you. He has carried you through moments you thought you would not survive. His faithfulness is proven. Surrender does not erase responsibility. It removes isolation. You are no longer carrying your life alone. As this block continues, let your heart settle into this reality. You are held. You are seen, you are guided, you are protected. This does not mean the road ahead is effortless. It means you will not walk it unsupported. God is not asking you to trust blindly. He is asking you to trust relationally. Relationship allows questions. Relationship allows pauses. Relationship allows growth. Trust grows through experience, and this prayer is part of that experience. As you release control, space opens inside you. Space for peace, space for clarity, space for God's guidance to be recognized without noise. Do not rush this space away. Do not fill it with worry. Let it remain. God often does his deepest work in spaces we would normally try to control. As we approach the close of this block, take a moment to notice what feels different. Not dramatically different, but subtly changed. That subtlety matters. Before we move forward, anchor this moment by expressing what you are choosing to rest in now. Comment one word that represents what you are trusting God with today. It may be future, family, healing, direction, peace, or simply amen. Stay here. Control is being released and trust is taking its place. As we continue, something gentle but powerful begins to rise. Renewed faith. Not the kind of faith that shouts or demands attention, but the kind that steadies the heart and quietly reshapes how you see life. This faith does not need to prove itself, it simply remains. Renewed faith often arrives as calm confidence. You stop questioning every step. You stop fearing every outcome. You stop interpreting silence as absence. Instead, you begin to sense God's presence in subtle, sustaining ways. This is where quiet joy begins. Quiet joy is not excitement. It is contentment rooted in trust. It is the awareness that God is near and active, even when nothing dramatic is happening. If your faith has felt tired in the past, understand this. Tired faith is not weak faith. It is faith that has been carrying too much alone. God restores faith by sharing the load, not by demanding more effort. Right now, God is breathing life back into your trust. He is reminding your heart that believing does not require constant intensity. It requires relationship. You may notice that joy begins to return in simple moments. Moments that once felt neutral or heavy now feel lighter. A sense of gratitude emerges without being forced. This is a sign that hope is stabilizing. Hope that is stable does not rise and fall dramatically. It remains present even when circumstances are uncertain. God is teaching you that joy and realism can coexist. You can acknowledge challenges without losing peace. You can face uncertainty without losing hope. This balance is spiritual strength. Psalm 91 reminds us that joy grows under covering. When you know you are protected, fear loses its grip and joy finds space to grow. Protection does not remove responsibility, but it removes dread. Psalm 17 reminds us that God examines the heart with care. He sees where faith was strained. He understands why hope became cautious, and he restores gently so that trust feels safe again. Renewed faith does not erase memory of past struggles. It changes how those memories influence the present. You no longer interpret difficulty as proof that God is distant. You recognize difficulty as part of a journey God is actively guiding. This recognition transforms perspective. You may begin to notice that gratitude becomes more natural, not gratitude for everything that happened, but gratitude for how God carried you through it. That gratitude strengthens faith. Faith grows where gratitude remains. As joy settles quietly, it creates resilience. Resilience allows you to experience emotions without being ruled by them. You feel fully without collapsing. You hope without denial. You trust without naivety. God does not give shallow joy. He gives grounded joy. This joy does not depend on constant success. It depends on consistent presence. God's presence is the anchor. If doubts try to surface, do not be alarmed. Doubts often appear when faith grows quieter because noise is no longer masking them. Acknowledge doubts gently and return to trust. Faith does not require the absence of doubt. It requires the presence of relationship. As hope strengthens, you may find yourself looking forward again, not anxiously, but with openness. You allow yourself to imagine good outcomes without immediately protecting yourself from disappointment. This openness matters. God often restores imagination before He reveals answers. Imagination creates space for God to move. You may also notice that laughter comes more easily, or peace stays longer, or tension leaves quicker. These are signs that joy is integrating into daily life. God is not giving you a temporary emotional lift. He is restoring a sustainable inner posture. As renewed faith takes root, you become less reactive to external circumstances. You are not ignoring reality. You are interpreting it through trust rather than fear. This shift changes everything. You no longer ask, "What if this goes wrong?" as often. You begin to ask, "How is God guiding me through this?" That question invites partnership instead of panic. God is inviting you to live from hope rather than brace for disappointment. This does not mean disappointment will never come. It means disappointment will no longer define your faith. Faith that has survived struggle is not fragile. It is resilient. You have walked through pressure and emerged with greater awareness. That awareness strengthens trust. As this block comes to a close, take a moment to recognize what is growing within you now. The quiet confidence, the gentle joy, the steady hope, these are not accidents, they are evidence of renewal. Before we move forward, anchor this renewal with a declaration of trust and authority. God is fighting my battles for me. Write this declaration in the comments as an expression of renewed faith. As you do, remember that you are part of a community that believes quietly, consistently, and confidently. Stay here. Faith is being renewed and hope is becoming strong again. As we continue, something essential begins to reawaken. Purpose. Not pressure-driven purpose, not comparison-based purpose, but purpose rooted in meaning and alignment. When freedom settles and faith is renewed, purpose no longer feels like a burden to carry. It becomes a direction to walk in. Many people lose sight of purpose not because they lack calling, but because pressure obscured meaning. When life becomes about survival, purpose narrows, dreams shrink, vision becomes practical instead of inspired. God restores purpose by first restoring peace. Peace clears vision. Right now, God is helping you reconnect with meaning. Meaning answers the question, why does this matter? When meaning is restored, motivation follows naturally. You no longer force yourself forward, you are drawn forward. Purpose does not arrive as a list of tasks. It arrives as alignment of heart and direction. You may begin to notice that certain things feel meaningful again. Conversations carry weight. Opportunities spark interest. Small actions feel significant. This is not coincidence. God is reattaching meaning to life. God does not reveal purpose to overwhelm. He reveals it to orient. Orientation brings focus without pressure. If you have felt disconnected from purpose, understand this. Purpose is not lost. It has been waiting beneath the weight. God removes the weight so purpose can rise naturally. This restoration often begins quietly. You feel a sense of this matters without fully understanding why. That sense is enough for now. God does not require full clarity to begin alignment. Alignment is not about having everything figured out. It is about moving in the same direction as God. Psalm 91 reminds us that when we dwell in God's presence, our steps are protected. Purpose does not expose you to danger when it is aligned with God. It is covered. You're not stepping into uncertainty alone. Psalm 17 reminds us that God examines motives. He refines purpose so it is not driven by fear, approval, or urgency. He aligns desire with wisdom. This refinement protects you from burnout. As purpose restores, you may notice that comparison loses influence. You stop measuring your path against others. You recognize that your journey is specific, intentional, and guided. Comparison clouds purpose. Alignment clarifies it. God is not asking you to do more. He is inviting you to do what matters. What matters may look small to others, but significance is not measured by visibility. Purpose often lives in faithfulness. You may also notice that your sense of time changes. You feel less rushed, less pressured to catch up. That is because purpose rooted in God's timing is not anxious. It trusts process. God's timing does not waste you, it shapes you. As purpose becomes clearer, distractions lose appeal. You are not forcing discipline. Desire is being redirected. God changes appetite before he changes activity. This redirection protects energy. You may feel drawn to invest in what nourishes rather than what drains. That is wisdom forming. Purpose thrives where energy is protected. God is also restoring courage to act on meaning, not reckless action but intentional steps. You feel willing to engage again, to contribute, to participate in life with presence. This willingness is important. Purpose does not require grand gestures. It requires faithful presence. As you continue forward, you may encounter moments of doubt about whether what you are doing truly matters. When that happens, return to peace. Purpose aligned with God always carries peace, even when outcomes are not immediate. God does not measure purpose by speed. He measures it by faithfulness. You may also sense a renewed sense of responsibility, not pressure, but ownership. Ownership of your inner life, ownership of your choices, ownership of your growth. This ownership empowers rather than burdens. God does not give purpose to control you. He gives purpose to free you. Freedom without purpose can feel empty. Purpose without freedom feels heavy. God restores both together. As meaning deepens, life begins to feel integrated again. You are no longer compartmentalizing faith and daily life. Prayer informs action. Action reflects trust. This integration brings satisfaction. Satisfaction does not mean everything is perfect. It means life feels coherent. God is aligning your inner world with your outer steps. This alignment reduces conflict and increases peace. If you have felt fragmented in the past, this coherence is healing. You are becoming whole again. Whole people walk with confidence, not arrogance. As this block comes to a close, take a moment to acknowledge what feels meaningful again. Do not dismiss it because it feels small. God often plants purpose in small beginnings. Purpose grows as it is honored. Before we continue, I invite you to place what you sense God calling you toward into prayer, trusting His guidance and timing. Write your prayer request in the comments. You are not alone. Whether it is clarity about purpose, courage to take the next step, or patience to trust the process, your request matters. This community of intercessors stands with you, and God sees every word. Stay here. Purpose is being restored, and your walk is becoming aligned. As we continue, it is time to speak about how freedom and purpose express themselves through service. not service driven by obligation or pressure, but service that flows naturally from a healed and aligned heart. When God restores the inner life, impact follows quietly. True service is not loud. True impact is not forced. When peace is present, your presence becomes meaningful. Many people believe they must do something extraordinary to matter. But God often works through ordinary faithfulness. He uses consistent kindness, steady integrity, and quiet obedience to shape lives in ways we may never fully see. Right now, God is teaching you that your life carries influence even when you are not trying to influence anyone. Influence rooted in peace is powerful because it is authentic. As freedom settles, you may notice a growing desire to give rather than protect. Not because you are trying to earn approval, but because you are no longer depleted. Service flows where wholeness exists. Service does not require perfection. It requires presence. You show up differently now. You listen more carefully. You respond more thoughtfully. You are less reactive and more attentive. These changes may feel subtle, but they are deeply impactful. God does not need you to perform faith. He invites you to live it. Living faith expresses itself through everyday actions, through patience in conversation, through honesty in decisions, through compassion when others struggle. These expressions shape environments. You may not always see the effect, but God does. Psalm 91 reminds us that God's covering accompanies us into every interaction. When you move in peace, you carry protection with you. This protection creates safety not only for you, but often for those around you. Psalm 17 reminds us that God guards the heart as we engage with the world. He protects motives from drifting into people-pleasing or self-protection. He keeps service rooted in love rather than fear. As you serve from wholeness, joy remains intact. You are not pouring from emptiness. You are sharing from abundance. This preserves energy and prevents burnout. Burnout often comes from serving to prove worth. Joy comes from serving as an expression of worth already known. God is restoring that balance in you. You may notice that opportunities to serve appear naturally. A conversation where someone needs encouragement. A moment where kindness is needed, a situation where integrity matters. These moments do not require preparation, they require awareness. Awareness keeps service simple. God is not asking you to carry responsibility for changing others. He is asking you to remain faithful to who He is shaping you to be. Transformation belongs to God. This removes pressure. As you walk forward, you may find that you are less concerned with recognition. You are satisfied knowing that faithfulness itself is meaningful. This satisfaction protects humility and joy. Humility does not mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking less about yourself. This freedom allows service to remain light. You may also notice that boundaries remain strong as you serve. You are able to give without overextending. You recognize when to step forward and when to rest. This discernment preserves sustainability. God does not honor exhaustion. He honors faithfulness. Faithfulness looks like consistency over time, showing up again and again with integrity, even when no one is watching. God sees what is unseen, and He values it deeply. Your quiet obedience matters. As impact grows quietly, you may experience a sense of fulfillment that does not depend on results. You know you are aligned. You know you are walking with God. That knowledge steadies the heart. Fulfillment rooted in alignment does not fluctuate with outcomes. God is teaching you to measure success differently, not by applause, but by peace. Not by numbers, but by faithfulness. Not by speed, but by consistency. This shift brings freedom. You may also find that gratitude increases as you serve. Gratitude for the opportunity to contribute. Gratitude for growth. Gratitude for how far you have come. Gratitude strengthens joy. Joy strengthens endurance. As service becomes integrated into daily life, faith stops feeling compartmentalized. Prayer informs action. Action reflects trust. This integration creates coherence. Coherence brings stability. God is not building something fragile in you. He is building something lasting, a life that reflects peace, purpose, and presence consistently. If moments of doubt arise about whether your faith is enough, remember this: faithfulness expressed through love is powerful. God multiplies what is offered sincerely. You do not need to do more. You need to remain aligned. As this block comes to a close, take a moment to acknowledge the quiet ways God is using you already. Do not minimize them. God does not. Before we continue, engage your faith with a simple reflection. Comment one word that represents how you want to serve or impact others from this place of peace. It may be love, kindness, faithfulness, patience, light, or simply amen. Stay here. Your life is becoming a quiet testimony of God's work. As we continue, it is time to speak about what remains after moments like this. Not what is temporary, not what fades with emotion, but what endures. This is where legacy begins. Legacy is not about recognition. It is about the quiet imprint faith leaves over time. Many people think legacy is built later in life, but legacy is formed daily. It is shaped by how you live, how you respond, how you carry peace into ordinary moments. God builds legacy through consistency, not spectacle. Right now, God is shaping what will remain from this season. Legacy does not begin with what you accomplish. It begins with who you become. As freedom, faith, and purpose settle into your life, they begin to influence others naturally, not through force, but through presence. People notice steadiness. They notice peace. They notice when someone no longer reacts the way they used to. This influence is subtle, but it is powerful. You may never know how your calm response prevents conflict. You may never know how your patience restores trust. You may never know how your faith encourages someone silently, but God knows. God is not building a moment in you. He is building a witness that speaks even when you are silent, a witness that remains when circumstances change. Psalm 91 reminds us that a life lived under God's covering becomes a place of refuge for others. When people encounter peace in you, they encounter evidence of God's presence. Psalm 17 reminds us that God guards the heart so that influence remains pure. He protects motives from drifting toward pride or control. He keeps legacy rooted in humility. Legacy built in humility lasts. As you walk forward, you may begin to recognize that your choices carry weight beyond yourself. Not pressure, but responsibility. Responsibility to steward peace, to guard integrity, to walk faithfully even when no one is watching. This responsibility is not heavy, it is meaningful. God trusts you with influence because He has healed you first. He does not release influence without restoration. What flows from you now flows from wholeness rather than wound. This protects both you and others. You may also notice that your definition of success continues to change. You are less focused on immediate results and more attentive to long-term fruit. This shift protects patience. Fruit takes time. Roots take time. God is strengthening roots in you. Roots of trust. Roots of peace. Roots of faithfulness. These roots allow your life to remain steady when seasons change. When storms come, roots matter more than appearance. Legacy is also shaped by what you refuse to return to. Old patterns, old reactions, old agreements with fear. Each time you choose peace, you reinforce what remains. God honors these choices. You may feel moments of temptation to revert to familiar stress responses. When that happens, remember how far you have come. Remember what God has done. Choose alignment again. Returning to peace is not failure, it is maturity. as legacy forms, you may feel a growing desire to protect what God has built in you. Protect peace, protect time with God, protect integrity. This is wisdom, not fear. Wisdom preserves what is valuable. God is not asking you to isolate yourself from the world. He's inviting you to engage the world from a place of stability. Engagement from stability creates influence without damage. You are learning to carry God's presence into complexity without losing yourself. That ability matters deeply. Legacy is also about continuity. Faith that continues through seasons. Trust that remains when outcomes change. Hope that endures beyond one answered prayer. God is forming endurance in you. Endurance that does not harden the heart. Endurance that remains soft, receptive, and faithful. This kind of endurance reflects God's character. As you look ahead, you may not know exactly where your path leads. That is okay. Legacy is not about knowing the destination. It is about walking faithfully in the present. God directs steps, not entire lifetimes at once. If uncertainty arises, remember this truth. What God has established in you is not fragile. It will not collapse under the weight of time. Peace rooted in Him endures. You are not carrying this alone. God walks with you beyond this prayer, beyond this moment, into every ordinary day. As this block comes to a close, take a moment to acknowledge what you want to carry forward from this season, not as pressure, but as intention. Before we continue, seal this truth with confidence and trust. God is fighting my battles for me. Write this declaration in the comments as a statement of enduring faith. As you do, remember that legacy is not built in a day, but it is shaped by every faithful step. Stay here. What God is building in you will remain. Before you leave this moment, pause for just a few seconds. What God has done here is not something you were meant to walk away from casually. If this prayer brought peace, clarity, or even quiet strength to your heart, understand this: you are not meant to walk alone. Psalm 91. Warfare exists so that you always have a place of prayer, covering, and faith to return to. This is not just a channel you watch, it is a community you belong to. More than 32,000 intercessors are standing together here, praying daily, believing together, and trusting God through every season. When you subscribe, you are not subscribing to videos. You are choosing consistency in prayer. You are choosing spiritual covering. You are choosing to stay connected. If you believe God is fighting your battles, this is your home. Subscribe to the channel now. Turn on notifications so you never miss a prayer, a moment of covering, or a word of encouragement when you need it most. And before you go, seal this moment with faith. Write this declaration in the comments. God is fighting my battles for me. Then, if you feel led, write one word that represents what God has done in you or what you are trusting Him for next. Stay connected, stay in prayer, stay under God's covering. You are not alone, and you never will be.